We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Say Things episode 237. SUNSfan here with Cinderin.
Yo.
Welcome. Goodbye. Yo. Hello. Whatever. Oh, my camera's all messed up. Why don't you take the patrons again as I fix my camera instead of restarting this recording, Cinderin?
But I do like watching when you try to get your camera to track you and you're like waving at it for 2 minutes.
I figured out how to do it now. Fuck.
Oh. Well, then it's not as fun. Okay. As usual, thanks to everybody for supporting the podcast on Patreon. Damn, I sound nasal today.
You're doing
and
great.
A special thank you to our In Bruges tier consisting of Crownfall Enjoyer, Captain Broccoli, STGC Daniel, Humboldt Bookmaker recommends Relic Arena, Practicing Belch to Win Wife back from Pyrian, Mr. I Love the Yatoro Does It Again Cinderin segment, Pepperballs, T-Coil, Q-Lutz is ready to praise the podcast, Yatoro Does It Again Cinderin, Vlad, let's have Puppy on the podcast, Disco Farm D, The Megapope, Zan Xavier, Netthicko01 Hamscroats, Shark TM, Janie, Dop, Nothing to See Here, Yes Oui Ivrement, Ben Broom, there we go, there he is again.
Oh my god.
Wooden Aftertaste, Anonymous, and bananas are berries, but strawberries aren't, Mr. Niebling. Another berry fact. I also knew that strawberries aren't berries. Didn't he say something similar recently?
I've never even heard that before. That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, more so,
Because
how
by
are bananas
definition-
berries? What's the definition of a berry?
Don't quiz me like this.
Huh.
I don't remember. There's a reason this checks out.
You were very
This is
confident
correct.
that you knew this was correct.
Yeah, but I don't remember why. I just remember the fun fact that strawberries aren't berries. I knew that one.
Shout out to Ben Broomhead as always in our hearts and minds.
You want to know what's extra funny about it was that I was looking at the list and I was like, who is it that is gone here? And then because I was like, all right, where is it his name usually is? We're getting there. He's about to be here. And then it's crazy. That's so fascinating to me. I love it. All right.
It's good stuff. All right, I have a quick SUNSfan recommends. This wasn't originally on the agenda, but then somebody reminded me. And I'd like to recommend a new purchase, Cinderin. I may or may not have talked about it before.
Wait, is this not a video game or a movie or?
No, it's none of that. It's a device that you use to clean your asshole. It is the bidet. It's only $1,100, Cinderin, but I finally got it. I attached it to my toilet, and by me attaching it to my toilet, I really mean I paid someone to do it for me because I'm beyond fucking incompetent with these kind of things. It's a dream. It's a life changer. Life changer. You have
What
something
does
to
it
say?
mean that a bidet is elongated, Shannon?
It's for big dongs and like really saggy testicles, I think.
That's okay.
So this one, there's a bunch of different kinds of bidets that you can get. And first of all, I know everybody outside of America is at least somewhat comfortable with bidets, or at least are open to the idea. For some reason, Americans, generally speaking, are okay with wiping their anus after taking a horrendous shit with paper. Just think about that. If you get shit on your arm, let's say, forget about how that actually happened, which actually did happen to my brother, but that's another story entirely. What would you do with that? Would you wash it, or would you take a piece of paper and wipe it off, Cinderin? Think about that, okay? You want a clean anus.
How about the combo, Shannon, where you wet the paper?
Anyway, bidets are great. This one attaches to the toilet. And as I said in a very, maybe it was a year ago now, Nikki and I went to Hawaii, and the best thing about the entire vacation was that this exact bidet was on the toilet, and I had a blast. No pun intended, all right?
That's great. It's good to hear.
But it does everything, Cinder. You can set it up for 4 different people. And of course, it's just me and Nikki and the cats.
At the same time.
Yeah, the cats, they don't use this one quite yet, but maybe we can get them attuned with it. But it squirts warm water into your anal cavity, okay? And it has a dryer aspect to it. When you walk into the toilet area in front of the toilet, it automatically lifts the top lid, and then there's a controller which is mounted to the wall, and I just push it if I need to take a leak. It lifts the other seat up so I can take a leak very nicely. The one thing it doesn't do for our toilet specifically is flush automatically. It does have that functionality. It's just not compatible with the toilet in that aspect. So I do still have to flush the toilet.
That's a 3-star only review.
My mom was telling me that's probably a good thing, because if I take a shit literally anywhere else, then I'll probably forget to flush. So this instills it in my muscle memory, just like Ben Broomhead has instilled in yours.
Yes.
Not walking away with the turd still intact will not be for me. I should say,
Shannon, obviously for the audio listeners, we need to pay attention to them as well, of course.
Yeah.
So for you guys, this one is called the Toto SW4734AT40 #01 Washlet Plus electronic bidet. And it is in cotton white, and it is for an elongated toilet seat or whatever. Very good. And you got it 18% off.
It's luxurious. I won't go any further on this.
I just wanted to mention that for the price that you bought this bidet for, you could have bought a laptop, just like as a comparison.
A really shitty laptop, sure.
Yeah.
Couldn't even play Dota with a $1,000 laptop. Come on, run like garbage.
With a $1,200 laptop?
All right.
You can run something.
I am typically somebody that will not spend a ton of money on stuff, on luxury things, unless I use them a lot. Bed, very important to have something very good. Yes. Everything around the computer, very important.
Bed and chair.
My chair,
big investments.
My chair, $1,000. I'm sitting on 18 hours a day. I'm on the toilet a lot. I have a lot of issues with my bowels. It's really important. It's gotten to the point where I'm literally shitting, okay? And then I just go and take a half shower. I say half shower because I don't need to really shower. I just stick, the shower head up my ass just to get everything out. And now I don't have to do that because it's built into the toilet itself. And it saves so much time to the point where I'm just going there on my own without having to do anything, just to sit there and enjoy the process. That's a personal problem, though.
You would have lost your mind if Manscaped started making bidets, I think. That would have been the actual dream for you. You're such a good salesman for the technology.
Well, when I'm passionate about it, then that's the one time I can sell. So I would highly recommend, and this is actually the reason I didn't get this instantly after our Hawaii trip, is because in the US, I think I've mentioned it before, or at least in Arizona, it's not that common to have an outlet close to your toilet. It's very uncommon. So we had to get an electrician out here. He's the one that put the outlet in and then set up the actual bidet. So
so this wasn't just the bidet. You also needed to pay an electrician to make an outlet and set it all up.
Yeah.
So rather than the $1,200 for the bidet, it was $7,000. That's what you're saying. Welcome to 2024.
Well, I wouldn't say it was that much, but yeah, it's well worth it though. Well worth it. So SUNSfan recommends wiping your anus with water instead, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
That's good.
And there's also a function for women.
Can you go back to recommending movies instead?
What's the point if you don't watch them?
Actually, honestly, I like this better. This is my kind of review.
All right. Well, I can't really afford many more of these types of products, so this will.
Now, I was thinking next week you could go and try another bidet and then compare them. And then you need to score them.
I got close to as top of the line as you can get without like just replacing the toilet as a whole. That's like the next step, I guess.
Didn't we look up a bidet that was like $50,000?
Yeah, I don't remember what it did.
Yeah.
I think somebody comes out of the toilet to massage your prostate or something like that.
Oh.
Anyway, let's move on to the next topic, which is big surprise. 7.36 beats, and this came out of nowhere.
Yep.
It's been less than a week. Is this record timing from Valve?
Valve are at work.
So I don't know which stuff you want to talk about. There are definitely some major ones with Heroes, I would say, but can you explain this first line in terms of vision sharing? Because none of my chat understood entirely. It seems to have to do with Mars and Night Stalker, though. Yeah,
so Mars and Night Stalker have these new facets that have a way of limiting vision, basically. If you're inside the Mars arena, you don't have shared vision with your allies. And the Night Stalker one, I actually don't remember exactly how Blinding Void is. But regardless, what it says here is dire/radiant buildings and creeps can now be affected by vision sharing. While their individual vision is unlinked, they do not provide any shared vision. So now I need to think again, because I thought, but then I didn't think enough.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, this changes vision. Cool. I actually don't know how to interpret this. I feel like this is the kind of thing I need to demo.
Okay. So good to know that we're not all idiots here on the stream.
I just feel like the wording is ambiguous, or like it's like terminology we've never seen before. Their individual vision is unlinked. What does that mean?
No idea. All right. Well, next thing on the list for this Synderin is having to reboot his brain.
I just figured this out on the spot.
Are you seeing Synderin? Blue screen of death?
I thought when I read it earlier that it made more sense than it does now. Now it's just like...
Yeah. The more you read it, the more you're confused.
Yeah, honestly.
So they've added terminology. I don't think this has changed any actual mechanics. It gives them another way to balance the game, but there's forced movement and knockback. There's two new mechanic keywords, I guess you can call them.
Mm-hmm.
Force movement is any effect that forcibly moves a unit, and knockback is any effect that pushes or pulls a unit a fixed distance over a short period of time. And they give some examples of what a knockback is, which is like magnetic field, flame break, primal roar, power cogs, etc. And then for the items, force staff, havoc hammer. This one, just these two terms being so close to each other is actually pretty confusing. I'm not going to lie. You have to actually really think about it.
I'm trying to understand what's the reason.
I can tell you the reason is because when you're balancing, and we're going to see some of it like with Magnus, for example, you don't want his stuff to affect every single ability that is both of these, right? That's a way to say it only affects the forced movement, for example, and not the knockback.
Right. But what in the game affects forced movement right now?
I don't remember. Wait,
what used to affect forced movement in the last patch was Spirit Breaker's Facet, right? And that now got changed to affect knockbacks. So...
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's part one of whatever.
It seems like... okay, I think I get it. So... no, dude, these... I was like, oh, okay, so now forced movement is any that forcibly moves a unit like... what's it called? Like Gale Force from Windranger, right? So then maybe Gale Force plus Spirit Breaker was stupid because it was pushing them super far all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And now they've separated them into two different blocks. I don't know if it affected Vacuum either. I mean, those are the ones it's highlighting, right?
Are on there, yeah.
I don't know. This is all still so new, and the whole Spirit Breaker Facet was kind of a weird one to begin with, but it's still there, just in a different form. We'll get there, though. Okay, I will just preface the item updates, Shannon.
Okay.
With saying this is one of my favorite sections that I have read in a Dota patch in a while.
I disagree, because it nerfed all the items I go for, but go ahead.
Yes, that is why I like it a lot. Because I don't like when you enjoy Dota. You need to be grounded and get back to reality, where this is not a game you play for fun. This is a game you play to make the rest of the world seem fun. Okay? This is a...
perspective is important, that's true.
Yes, this is a game of perspective that makes you happy in your real life. That's how it's meant to work. I'm sure it works that way for everybody. Okay, so... worth highlighting, a lot of the tank items just flat out got nerfed, and this is largely a nerf patch, which, are my favorite kind of patches, because I think the game has power crept too much, so I'm happy to see a lot of things get nerfed. Blade Mail is more expensive, Bloodstone gives less health and mana, Eternal Shroud gives away less strength, that's probably the biggest item nerf here.
Crimson got a big buff, though. One of the few buffs.
Yeah, it's different, right? I don't know if this is strictly... it's strictly better. Okay, it's just always better.
I'm trying to remember what the numbers were before, but now, instead of it being based off strength, it's 70 damage block plus 2.5% of the caster's max HP.
Yeah. I mean, largely this item was unbought. I don't know if this is going to change it because of the numbers on the block itself. I wonder if what it takes to make this better is some sort of dispel rules or duration. Don't know. We'll see. Maybe people are going to start picking this up with the other ones getting nerfed, right? That's always interesting to see. Octarine Core as well, lost 50 health and mana. And they nerfed Wind Waker. Again, they'll probably do it a 7th time.
By the way, I was reading this line. I was really excited. Veil of Discord, magic weakness, can now be cast without interrupting channels. I was so excited, Cinderin. I booted up Dota on stream. Hoof Stomp into Veil. Still doesn't fucking work. My fucking God, please.
That's the one hero that has its own rules. Hoof Stomp is not a channel and also not a not channel.
It's literally like nothing, right? Well,
is
Sand King ult technically the same? It's just longer?
No, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
No.
Because you can't move. Yeah, it's just...
Hoof Stomp is hard-coded. It's a very special ability, and it gives it some problems.
Please, Valve, please,
they had to make special
let Centaurs
rules
Veil and Shivas while hoof stomping, please. Quality of life won't make any difference with balance. Just quality of life. Yeah. Thank you.
I think they are struggling a bit with that ability, honestly. I think they had some challenges making it work correctly because it has some very special rules. Anyway, neutral items also getting nerfed, a lot of them. Very good. Arcane Ring is nerfed, Whispers of the Dread is nerfed, Light Collector Daytime Healing is nerfed, Defiant Shell -1 armor, Ascetic Cap gives less health and regen, Havoc Hammer gives less strength, Rattle Cage gives less armor. Happy days. Now we just need the heroes to be... I am not being sarcastic.
I know. It's disturbing.
I'm not going to say that I believe this is the beginning of a trajectory, because I don't, but I hope it is.
Okay, before you get started with heroes,
yeah.
Well, you trust me, so
okay.
There's 3 heroes that I have in my mind that they have beyond dumpstered, okay? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you at the end to see if you agree with me, okay?
Okay, sure.
All right. There might be more, or maybe I'm wrong on something, but
yeah. I know what one of them is just off memory immediately.
Okay.
So, yeah. So just to clarify, I've talked about this many a time on the podcast that I feel like the game is power creeping too much. There's too much gold. The pace has been kicked up too much. People are getting 6 slotted too fast. Supports get too much gold as well. It's not just carries and everything. And that's just good old me wanting things back the good old way. But I do think there's actually a lot of the younger pros that agree that there's too much on the map. I've been having conversations with different pros, and that seemed like a unanimous thing, that they feel like the map is... There's too many resources. And at the very least, nerfing neutral items and nerfing some of the items that are really popular in the patch slows things down a bit in terms of ridiculous acceleration. And the biggest plague on this patch, I feel like, is tankiness. So there's clearly something thematic here in the nerfs, right? Like all of the nerfs on items, or not all of them, but a lot of them are just flat out health values or cost of defensive items. The only outlier is Crimson Guard because nobody buys it, right? So they're trying to actually make that an item. So I would also argue the Wind Waker nerf is actually in the same vein, right? Because that's also a survival item. Survival is just too strong right now. So cool. Okay. Let's look at heroes. Do you want to like highlight specific ones? Because if we go over everything, this is
we're
quite
definitely
long.
not going over everything. I mean, this is a B patch, a letter patch, so we just do the usual.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with Axe.
Yep.
So Axe's Facet, the really popular one, the one-man army that gives you strength based on your armor when you're not near allies, has been nerfed again. So now they start fading immediately after approaching an ally over the 5-second linger duration. So instead of waiting 5 seconds and then being removed, it fades. It starts just gradually decreasing. The radius for being alone is bigger, so that's also a nerf. And now your bonus strength can be broken as well, which is quite interesting.
People get really upset that their teammates are close to them now. Before it was like, okay, it'll switch on and off pretty fast, but Yeah.
And in addition to that, the Code of Blood, so the amount of armor you get per kill, the innate, has been nerfed as well on the highest level. It is better on level 2 and on level 1, I think. Right? Hang on, let me think here. How was it this used to be? No, it's just worse on all levels, right? Yes, it's just worse. You just get less armor. Sorry, I just had to do some quick math there. So, and you also get less armor from Berserker's Call. So X got like 3 nerfs in one patch. All right, moving on. What's the next really interesting one? Actually, it's a lot of like small tweaks that aren't necessarily worth highlighting, but a lot of it is popular trending heroes getting some decent nerfs to a facet in general, and to some of the less popular ones, they get a bit of a bump up.
Clockwork Cinderin.
Yep.
The facet that nobody takes, which is the one where you hook a teammate and it lowers the cooldown of it.
Yeah.
Doing that now grants allies with a physical barrier equal to hookshot damage, duration 4 seconds. That's cool. That's really cool.
It's not a big barrier, is it now? Like, hookshot doesn't deal that much damage, so...
Yeah, conceptually, it's cool, and...
It's an interesting idea.
If they keep buffing that, this becomes a save for your teammates, in theory, right? Kind of.
It's an interesting idea, I think. I want to quickly mention DP, because I do think this hero is always in a... She's always in this equilibrium state, I want to say, where if you push her a little bit in one direction, she gets really strong. She's been like a pretty balanced Dota hero, in my opinion, for a while. And then this new patch came in with the facets and the rework a little bit. I read this, and I think this trajectory can make this hero really strong. So Spirit Collector, the one that gives you spirits when heroes die on the map, just became global in the previous later patch, and now... it just does more damage, and it scales with Exo. What did it scale with before?
That's my question. I have no idea, because what else would it scale with? I don't get that one.
Okay, anyway, and then Witchcraft is 50% better, which is a big deal. So she gets 0.75% move speed per level instead of 0.5. I think this hero is becoming very good. So keep an eye out for that. I think there's a good chance it will be very strong. DK got some meaningful nerfs. Again, he also got nerfed in the A patch. Super popular hero. Arguably the biggest nerf in all of this, I would say, is that he loses 2 base health regen on Dragon Blood. This makes his laning significantly weaker. And let's be honest, we just had a patch where Dragon Knight could beat Razor mid, so good fucking riddance. Let's try to actually make him beatable in lane.
True.
Then we have Earth Spirit.
Oh yeah, your favorite.
Stepping Stone gets another change again. That's the right facet.
This one is the 180. This one is less than a week after they changed it. They've changed their mind.
This facet, the original one was the worst in the game, and now, or at least one of them, now it's kind of interesting. So now Rolling Boulder no longer creates a Stone Remnant in front of you. Instead, it refreshes Stone Remnant if it is on cooldown. So what this means is you can now combo with Earth Spirit by pressing a stone and then rolling, and then you will have a stone on arrival as well. But what you cannot do is the classic Earth Spirit rolling way, where you press roll and then put a stone. Because beforehand it did it automatically, right? And I think the reason they've done this is the previous version, where when you press Rolling Boulder, it creates a stone in front of you, is you don't always necessarily want that, right? It was forcing you to play in a specific manner. Now you have agency. However, I would rather that you reset the cooldown of Stone Remnant when you roll over a stone, rather than when you cast Rolling Boulder. Maybe that's too good or too bad. Dude, this shit is just... I don't know,
Only very experienced Earth Spirit players will be able to tell us if this is...
This is one of my most played heroes, okay? And
You're not one of them, apparently.
It's been a while since I played Earth Spirit, in fairness, but...
Well,
this
that's
facet,
the other thing
it
is
feels like you need. I think this is the kind of thing where you just need to play one or two games of the hero to feel if this is good or not. Like you can read it all you want, but this hero is all about feel, and I'm out of touch. I'll be honest with how this would work. So, yeah. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Invoker got 2 base damage,
you
and
missed
now he
one.
gets. Okay. What did I miss?
Faceless Void, Time Zone. Pierce's debuff immunity now. Way better.
Yeah. Sorry, I skipped this because who doesn't take Chrono?
I'm telling you, Cinderin, at some
This
point,
could be maybe it'll become a thing. We'll see. Maybe.
It will become a thing at some point, but it's not going to be like a carry, right? This would be like a mid, one of those Thompson type heroes. Okay. I genuinely think that this is the biggest buff it's gotten. I mean, well, that's not saying much because it's only been 2 patches, but this is starting to get somewhere. This is one of those abilities that with specific lineups, it would be really good. I think just in general, taking it, it's just going to be worse than Chrono most of the time, right? But specific lineups, it can be crazy.
Yep. Okay. I'll keep an eye out. I'll let you know. I'll send you a message if I see this ability.
Because you can't force staff out anymore, right? Wasn't that the last change? I'm pretty... chat? Pretty sure you can't do that out of... And then now it adds the debuff immunity.
But yeah, the debuff immunity pierce is obviously enormous, right? That is really big. But it also goes to show how much worse this was considered than Chrono, that you give it this buff.
Yeah.
This is about one of the biggest buffs a spell like this can get within reason, I think. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe teams start running it. It'll be interesting. Invoker, +2 damage, and his innate that gives him experience when he denies is now up from 15 to 25%.
That's
needs
big.
Some love. Let's see if this is enough.
Pretty cool, though.
I think it's interesting. Okay. I want to highlight that Legion Commander Stonehall Plate is now down to 40%, so it got nerfed again. From 100 to 50 to 40.
Yeah.
Surely was interesting when it came out.
And Ags no longer reduces the cooldown, which is one of the big reasons you would get it. So now you're essentially getting it for the magic immunity, which if you already have BKB, if you need it anyway, then this becomes a lot worse because then it's just duration, right? The less value now.
I'm a little bit worried that they're nerfing her too fast, to be honest. I think this... But we'll see. Okay. Lone Druid's Unbearable facet has been changed, so now it gives the bear plus 10% attack speed instead of minus 0.1 base attack time. That sounds worse, but I don't remember the math, so maybe it's better. I think this facet was terrible, right? This is the one nobody was taking. And now the Spirit Bear's Demolish is increased, so this does more damage to towers. Don't know. Not a Lone Druid expert. I feel like I'm saying a lot of I don't know, and I just want to... I think it's better to be honest that there's just a lot of shit in the game that we don't...
Oh, of course.
Like, there's just so much shit. So I'm saying a lot of I don't know, which is not great content, but you know, what can you do? Okay, Lycan got changed. His facet gives base damage instead of plus damage, which generates certain interactions with allied abilities, enemy abilities, etc. And to compensate, it lost a little bit of damage. It lost 2 at all levels. And the 10 talent also lost 2 damage per wolf, so that's 4. Curious to see how this is going to influence the hero in general.
Do you think that my chat was talking about how this could theoretically be good with illusions now? Does that sound feasible?
I mean, he's universal, so he can buy Manta with value, right? But
Shapeshift, Manta, I don't know. I didn't try it.
Maybe. I didn't really think about that aspect. Could be. What abilities synergize with base damage?
That's what I was thinking as well.
Because there is some stuff, but it's not really
doesn't come to
immediately coming to mind here. What this would be. I'm trying to think of, okay, is there some broken combo now that you could run? But
Venge, true.
Venge Aura, yeah, that's one. That sounds pretty strong, actually.
I mean,
Venge Lycan.
Theoretically, that's a strong lineup in general, right?
Yeah. They have history, so yeah. We'll see. Maybe there's going to be some sort of percentage-based damage increase strats that you can run with Lycan. Okay. Want to skip down to Meepo?
You want to
If you
skip
take
Magnus?
more Meepo... isn't it just more reverse polarity shit? Actually, it isn't this time. All right.
Nah, we already talked about the knockback thing. They're just making sure that we know that it's knockback now instead of force movement.
Yes. Meepo clones now get 85% of main Meepo stats when you take the more Meepo facet. That's the one that gives you an additional Meepo. And not the other one's the pack rat, right?
I think is that
or
not
is that
an innate?
Is
that his innate? Oh god,
I have forgotten.
I don't remember.
What did it get before? Usually, when the wording is like this, it is.
There's a lot of wordage in this patch that does not show the previous numbers, which is why it's
which is strange because usually when it says when they word it like this, clones now get, it's implied that before they didn't get this at all, right? But they obviously did. Usually, it would say clones stat gain increased from 75 to 85% or whatever. What was it before?
Moving on.
Well, yeah, let's move on. Okay. I want to mention Huerta. I think this is a fun idea. So, the ofrenda that people were struggling to use effectively actually makes you respawn with Pierce the Veil. And then it also refills your bottle. So if you're playing this as a mid-hero, God forbid, then when you do respawn and come back to your lane, you're not fucked.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a bug fix, right? Definitely.
Yeah, essentially.
But yeah, 4 seconds
the Pierce
of
the Veil
Pierce
thing
the
is
Veil. It is cool. Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay. Nature's Prophet getting some love on the Ironwood Treant facet. So you get way stronger and more Treants if you were to run this. And on top of that, he also just got a flat-out buff on the barrier on teleportation. And the cooldown on his Treants, however, is higher on lower levels to compensate for how strong they are with Ironwood Treant, I suppose. Okay, a little bit of number nerfs to Necro. Let's skip over that. Pango.
My boy.
You tell me about this one.
I don't use this one because the other one's way too much fun. But double jump facet, shield crash, minimum damage increased from 0% to 25%. So if you fuck it up, you still do a little bit of extra damage.
Yep.
But have you tried any of these facets for Pango?
No.
So he, in general, you can feel the nerfs, like the swashbuckle range. Oh my god, it's bad. The 10 talent is like literally a requirement now to take. But the ult, where it's faster or the turn rate is faster, feels incredible. Even though it lasts not as long, it feels amazing. I don't know if that's something pros would actually take, but you literally cannot dodge it now because you can actually just permastun somebody in most cases. But if the pros are good enough and they don't need it, maybe the other facet is better. But
the trade-off is also that you lose 2 seconds on the roll, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, hard to say. I think the duration is a really big part of what makes this skill good in pro. So I'm kind of not sure that Thunderbolt's actually better than the default one, which is also what I said when it came out. But maybe it's better than I give it credit for. All right, PA. Methodical gets buffed again. So this is the one where you get a crit every 6th attack on coup de grace. I think this hero has the worst designed facets in the game. I'll just say it. I don't like either of them. And I understand it's difficult to be creative and make something good for PA, but I would rather than them improving the numbers on Methodical, take some time, go into the idea tank and come up with something else. Because I think almost no matter what you make the numbers on this, it's just not interesting. It's not interesting. It's hard to balance. It's either going to be too bad or too good. The one that gives the whole mana cost reduction and stuff with blur is also really... I don't know. This one, when we went over all of them in the long 4-hour patch breakdown, whatever, when these came out. This was also, aside from the Earth Spirit, PA was absolutely at the bottom of my list with how much I enjoyed imagining playing the hero.
Yeah, Blur is just, I can't even tell you what it does anymore because they just got rid of most of it and attached it to either the innate or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and now it gives move
functionality's
speed
gone.
when it's active.
It feels like a mess, but we'll see if pros end up
This hero
picking it
by
up.
design is meant to be an assassin. You're not an assassin if you have to jump in and then poke people before you hurt them. An assassin deals burst damage. PA doesn't do that with this facet. So it's like, yeah, you can keep turning up the crit numbers, but it's not going to feel like the hero, right? Like, if I pick PA, I don't pick her to need to jump on people and hit them a lot. I pick the hero for the surprise burst. That's its whole gimmick. That's the hero, right? So effectively, you're killing the hero's identity by picking this facet. And then you're like, okay, just pick the other one. Unfortunately, the other one's not good. So compared to all the other heroes that just got, or a lot of the other heroes that got really good improvements or better facets or whatever, I feel like PA just really lost the lottery here. And this is not enough. Anyway. Okay. Okay, Shannon. I want to talk about Pudge a little bit. Because
I've been trying this one.
When the two facets came out, we had the one that gives you strength when you dismember, which got nerfed heavily shortly after. And then we have the Flare's Hook, which is now buffed again.
Yeah.
And this one is really strong, I think, now.
Yeah, it is.
So the hook, in addition to doing even more damage now when you pull them, they take damage based on how much they move with the hook. So the further away you are, the more damage it deals. But now it also gives projectile and cast range to the hook. Projectile speed and cast range. So it's harder to dodge. You can cast it from further away, and you deal more damage when you hit them. This sounds fun as fuck. I want to play Pudge.
I tried it before they buffed it. I didn't get to try it other than in demo mode today, but like I was surprised at how good it felt. Awesome. Like I hit a long range, like max range hook level 1, like during the rune battle, and the guy's at half HP. It's absurd how much damage it actually does, and now they've buffed it. So yeah,
and in particular, this is amazing for support, right?
Because in theory, you're getting Aether Lens in addition to this, and then you're like insta-giving people.
Well, what I would argue is what felt good about having Lens previously for your hook, you just have for free, right? Like 15% cast range is a lot on a spell that has this long range to begin with. So it's effectively a free Lens. And then the projectile speed is a really big part of the buff too. It's way harder to dodge. It's more consistent. There's going to be some muscle memory though. You need to get used to it. You're going to miss hooks in the beginning because you're like, they need to move this much, and then oh shit, it got there too fast, you know?
Yeah.
But once you overcome the skill issue, this is just better in every way. And I think this is primarily good for support, where the other one I would say was good all round, but maybe a bit more core minded. I hope we get to see this hero more in pro. I think it's super entertaining to watch and cast. It makes moments, whether they're good or bad. Yeah, fun hero. Quap, very quick mention of Masochist. We talked about this when the patch came out, the original facet patch, that this was probably... this was one of my favorite facets, but I just thought the numbers might be off, and now they're starting to buff her a little bit, so you take less damage now from Masochist, down from 22 to 20%. And yeah, like I said back then, this facet is awesome, and you can just tweak the numbers until it fits. So cool. Let's see if this helps. Major buff to Rubik out of nowhere. I don't know why, but because I thought this hero was already pretty good. But he now gets 0.75% magic resist per level instead of 0.5, so it's just tankier. And the Frugal Filch, the mana cost reduction from stolen spells, has been buffed on lower levels. That's not the one people take, though, is it? They take the other one mostly.
I'm sure they base this off of pick rate / win rate. So I would assume
the other one is the one that gives you AoE with every spell you cast. Arcane Accumulation. Okay. Sand King was good again, so now we have to nerf him. The Dust Devil facet, the one where your Sandstorm follows you, has significantly reduces the radius of your Sandstorm. It's way smaller if you choose this one. And it doesn't center on you after Burrow Strike anymore. So the storm has to catch up to you. In comparison, the standard Sandstorm, the old one, just got buffed a little more, so it has 800 radius on max level, which is huge. The radius, that is. The buff isn't huge. It's pretty minor. And there's some changes to Sandstorm with its interaction with Scepter. I'm not going to go over all of those. But yeah, overall, this Dust Devil one was obviously becoming really popular and probably very, very good, especially at lower skill brackets. But this is a hero that just seems to, whenever it gets good, it gets nerfed quite hard. Shadow Shaman with a very interesting list of nerfs. I know this hero was getting popular and was winning a lot. It had a high win rate in Immortal especially, but this is a lot of nerfs at once. He loses 3 base strength. Cluster Clock Hex no longer gives bonus move speed. Hex itself no longer gives damage amp, which is a huge nerf.
I like that one because it differentiated from Lion's Hex.
Yeah.
You know?
And now Foul Play no longer gives bonus move speed either. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is a lot of nerfs at once. I'm surprised. I'm okay with him being nerfed, but this was a list, to say the least. Okay. Talked about Spirit Breaker. The imbalanced facet is now knockback instead of forced movement. TA got some numbers nerfs, good riddance. And then Terrorblade, Shannon. They are really trying with this one. They really want people to hurt themselves when they play Terrorblade more than they already did when they picked the hero.
Yeah.
So now Soul Fragment, which is the facet where you pay health to cast your Conjure Image, now reduces the mana cost to 0. So this is starting to get interesting, I think. Because part of Terrorblade's issue that you itemize around is having the mana sustain to keep using Conjure Image and keep farming efficiently. Now, if you take Soul Fragment, that's not even a concern anymore. You need to have Health Regen instead, or Lifesteal. So maybe there's a build here?
So remember, if I'm not mistaken, illusions always spawn with full HP now, and you can sunder your illusion. So it does sound interesting now, I won't lie.
The other one is that there's no minimum threshold for sundered enemies, which is a niche thing. Like, it has some very random uses, I would say. The biggest one is the meme use, where you go Shadowblade Armlet and play like you did 15 years ago when you were a kid and thought Dota was a fun game. Yeah. And now you play to win. So you don't do that. All right. Tinker! My boy. Actually, not my boy. I don't really like this hero very much. But he gets his 17th Giga buff because he's in the dumpster. Repair bots now, when you take that facet, it increases the heal drastically on March of the Machines, now up by a lot, about 50%, and even more, it's about doubled on level 1. Laser has lower cooldown on all levels, March of the Machines scales to have lower cooldown, and Rearm has been buffed as well. Great.
Slowly getting there to a support hero.
Slowly becoming an actual support. I don't know if that was desired, but that's what's happening. If you liked old Tinker, go play Warcraft 3 Dota.
And we've seen people rush Arcane Blink on Tinker as well as a support. Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Very interesting. Tiny loses 10 move speed. That's quite significant. And Tree Grab also very nerfed on its building damage. And his talents are also getting nerfed. So this is a triple whammy as well. And this one affects both core and support. The 10 movement speed is really big for any hero. I think getting minus 10 movement speed for any hero is just a big nerf overall. Doesn't matter how the hero is played, what the meta is, irrelevant. Move speed affects everything you do in the game. Travel times, farm efficiency, ability to connect with allies, save them, make aggressive moves, you name it. Move speed is the stat in Dota, so losing 10 of that sucks. Okay.
They've been slowly getting rid of a bunch of slow resistance stuff as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, good. Less power creep. Love it. Veno now has 3 charges if he takes the Plague Carrier facet, the one where you can put Plague Wards onto allies or yourself. And now, if you get CS on wards attached to allies... Wait, how do you interpret this?
So the way that I interpret it is If
Oh,
you
the ally
get
gets the rest of the gold.
Yeah, so before, obviously, you had the Plague Ward on the carry or whatever, and you're stealing last hits like Lyrical does with Ion Shell. Now it gives Venno 20% of the gold if they kill it with Plague Ward, and 80% goes to the person that is the host, if you will.
Why isn't it just 100% to the host? Is that overpowered? Maybe that's too good for them jungling or something.
I don't know.
Cool. Okay.
That feels bad for Venno. Venno's got to get a little something.
Yeah, I suppose. Visage, faithful followers, the facet that non-Visage players take when they play Visage, so they don't have to play Visage, has been buffed. So the familiars give less gold, because when you can't micro them, apparently you need a buff to
make it not feel as bad. Yeah, when they die.
And then they get more attack range. Valve,
a lot more.
Make a third facet and keep this one in for beginners, but don't try to make this good in pro or whatever. I don't know, man. This is just weird. Okay. Witch Doctor with an interesting change. Voodoo Festoration, which is the one where you turn your Voodoo Restoration into a damage dealing ability. Heals you for half the value, but only you. We had the version of this a patch ago where it did damage to enemies and healed allies, but now it's only you if you take this direction, but the damage is higher, so it's like an aggressive Witch Doctor playstyle with the aura. It's kind of interesting. Don't know when it gets good. Wraith King gets multiple meaningful nerfs. Mortal Strike gets nerfed on its cooldown. The Aghanim Shard damage bonus is reduced. The Vampiric Spirit ability has way less attack speed when you're in Wraith form and movement speed when you're in Wraith form on lower levels. So, quite a bit. And then finally, Zeus, who was really good in the A patch. Valve asked, what if we cut off both his arms? Can he still eat? And we'll see. But it's going to be difficult, I think. He gets 5 nerfs. Static Field scales with Thunder God's Wrath, so it's worse on lower levels. Static Field does less damage on lower levels. Arc Lightning has less cast range. Lightning Bolt no longer deals bonus damage to creeps. His ult has 10 seconds longer cooldown. And Lightning Hands no longer works on illusions, which was the build people were going for with the Manta. So sad. And his 10 and 15 talents got nerfed. Holy shit, dude. What did Zeus do to deserve this? What the fuck, man?
Yeah. All right.
Okay, sure.
So having said that, can you pick the 3 heroes?
Okay, Zeus.
Yes.
Zeus was my number 1. When you said there's 3 heroes that got fucked, I was like, okay, it's definitely Zeus is your number 1. I'm sure you would agree he's the most nerfed hero in the patch.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to scroll up. Next. And what do you mean by... Do you mean like they're not competitively viable because they got butchered, or they just got nerfed the hardest?
They just got nerfed the hardest, I think.
Shadow Shaman, 100%.
Yep. This one you might disagree on, maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to see... I have one in mind right now. I just want to scroll up through all of them. It's hard to remember everything.
You get 3 out of 3, it's going to be very impressive.
I mean, so far... All right, I'll give you 2. I'll get 2 guesses on the last one. Okay.
Okay. Well, pick the one you think is right first. Extra.
I'll say you think Sand King.
Yes, correct.
Okay, because the other one is Dragon Knight. Because I actually think that.
Come on.
But this is at higher levels of play, I think. But just for average pro play, I agree Sand King got nerfed harder. But I think the Dragon Knight nerf is actually really meaningful.
I'm not saying it's not meaningful. I'm just saying these 3 here, and Axe is probably up there as well, but. They didn't really touch the rest of him. It's just the one facet that they kind of dumpstered. But yeah, Sand King, Shadow Shaman, Zeus, goodbye. I'd be surprised if these are even... The thing that I don't understand, we joked about it last time. Sand King, remember when he got his original Ags, which is the current one kind of. It was really good for a week. They nerfed him. He sucked donkey dick for a full year plus. Then we get to this point. He's OP for 1 week, it feels like. Yeah. Dumpstered into the ground again. You didn't mention all the changes to the Ag Scepter and all that. That's literally the build. Everything was nerfed about this hero that felt good.
Yeah. I think I think Valve are struggling with balancing this hero for pro play and pub play at the same time. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Sand King is one of the biggest winners in the lowest brackets because people aren't very good at using detection or at positioning themselves correctly against epicenter and burrow strikes and whatnot. And I think they're just trying to find a healthy medium, but they're not really succeeding. Because when these nerfs come in, I think the hero just
I have a
largely
prediction.
dies in pro, right?
Okay, I have a prediction that no one is going to remember. Somebody please remember this. Okay, write it on your whiteboard and just leave it there for years if need be. Sandstorm. I'm not saying this will be soon, Cinderin. Okay? Sandstorm will become Sand King's ultimate at some point, and Epicenter will be removed. That is what I think will happen eventually.
Okay.
I think
Sandstorm. You were going to say Sandstorm becomes his innate.
Sandstorm is his most interesting ability, I think. It's the one that they're building around a lot. Makes sense for it to be its ult. Epicenter has felt like an afterthought, especially with this build. Like, when are you going to... You don't even buy Blink half the time on this hero anymore, you know? Like, this build is like Bloodstone.
That's a pretty big shame. I think that goes to show that the hero is just not as good as it used to be, right? Like, if that build is not viable, I feel like a huge part of the hero's identity is just gone. Like, I don't want to be Sandstorm bot when I'm playing Sand King. I want to hit fat ults, and I want to play on dagger, and I want to play on positioning and surprise elements and whatnot. If you're just this tanky boy sitting in Sandstorm stunning people, is that interesting?
I love it. Yeah, I love it, actually.
I think the dagger play is way more fun and interesting to watch.
Yeah, you can have both. You know?
Yes, but that's the problem. We can't, right?
Okay, actually, I would disagree with you. I think that Epicenter has felt like the poor man's big ultimate, let's call it, like the Echo Slams or even like Ice Blast, like these big ultimates. It has never been on that level, I feel like. Ever. Literally in Dota 1.
Epicenter used to be good. It did.
It was definitely better, but when you compare it to these big, giant ultimate, it's always like B tier at best, you know?
Yeah, but it had to be because of how good Burrow Strike was. Like, that was the balance of the hero, right? It made sense.
That's the thing, though. I think that Burrow Strike and Sandstorm are the most interesting spells on this hero by a long shot. And that new ability that they put in, like Caustic Finale, was always boring. Now it's innate. That's fine. And then the ability they put in that you spin or whatever, that's amazing for farming. It feels good. Epicenter just doesn't feel like it should be on the hero anymore. Honestly, with the current design, at least. Yeah,
if you want to rework him, that's another thing. But I think in his current form, I just don't like the viability of different builds, right? As you say, like, it's just... I think it's actually the same problem that Shadow Fiend eventually ran into. I think the power creep just overwhelmed these two heroes a lot. Requiem used to be a banger ability. Like, I don't know if it's because... I don't know if it's because people got better or if everything else just overtook it, but whatever it is, Requiem is not what it used to be, just like Epicenter isn't. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's enough about that. That's the patch, Shannon.
That is the patch, and we are...
A lot of nerfs.
We're already at 53 minutes, so I think a lot of the topics that I wanted to talk about, we can just wait a week. Sure. One of which was my Crownfall review, which, you know, we can talk about that whenever. Then we have...
There's still weeks left.
Yeah, and then we have stats that I wanted to talk about, but now that a patch came out the day of...
These are not relevant right now.
Let's wait a week and then
so we're literally going to talk about the big winners and the big losers with the facets, and then...
Yeah.
What's this? Like 3 hours or whatever it was before we were going to record, they just change.
It happens.
Half the facets. Oh, what can you do?
So that means our next topic is a patron named Milan Miami, Cinderin, came out with a cool tool. It was a couple weeks ago. He messaged me about it. I actually probably would have talked about it anyway because it's awesome. He made a tool called Dota Replay Finder. I'll put the link in the description here. But essentially, I'll just read what he says. Ladies and gents, I present to you a tool that allows you to query high MMR and pro matches in which specific things happen. Currently, it's only querying matches from PGL Wallachia. So if we go to the link, sites, this is on with night mode on, I think. Maybe I should have turned that off. But anyway, you put in a hero. Let's say Ancient Apparition, really interesting hero. I want to know when they bought back Cinderin. and I can specify a time, or I just use the entire game. Hopefully this finds something. Search for replay. Ancient Apparition buying back. And one replay came up actually. Game time 49:37. AA buys back, and you can download the replay. This is fucking cool. This is really cool for content creators. I will actually use this for an upcoming project that I'm going to be doing. And yeah, kudos to our amazing patrons and everybody out there that's really talented in the Dota community. I'll put the link in the description. I hope that he continues to support this and flesh it out, because there's a lot of cool things that you can definitely do. I don't know all the specifics, but of what like the limitations are with the API these days, but being able to use this on pubs. I know some high level pubs he says he's entered into this, but that would be amazing for me if you could just do pub games. But the problem with that is, this is the issue we had with Dota Cinema way back in the day. There was a glory period, Cinderin, where we'd have shit ton of replays. We can look at them anytime. Then they implemented, I don't know what it's changed to, if it has, but replays expire after a week, which means you have to literally host them. You have to download them while they're active for that week and then host them, which is very expensive. So I don't know what the what the restrictions are these days, but either way, this is a really cool tool. Highly recommend if you need to find like some specific thing, because as you can see, there's a shit ton of stuff.
He posted it 15 days ago, and it said currently it's only querying matches from PGL Wallachia, like you said. Is that still the case? I'm guessing it is.
I don't know.
Because it's supposed to support high MMR and pro matches, and if there's one AA buyback in all high MMR and pro matches, then I think it's Wallachia it's using still, right?
Probably.
I'm surprised this didn't get more traction on Reddit when it got posted. It didn't get that many upvotes, and I think stuff like this is really fucking cool. Maybe a lot of people just think it's not really useful for them or whatever, but you can still support a cool idea, right?
Centaur I would say gets killed by.
I would say this is very...
Alchemist.
This definitely has really interesting uses, but like you said, scalability is potentially the problem, right? Like, how's he going to handle when this gets really big?
There actually is one. 1144, Centaur gets killed by Alchemist. That's fucking awesome, man. That's really cool. Yeah, I don't know how much use people, like the average person, would have, but content creators and whatnot, check it out and give them feedback.
Maybe tournament organizers can use this too.
Yeah, that's true. For sure.
I think.
Yeah, I can't remember what I messaged him, but you should definitely reach out to tournament organizers to see if this is something they'd like to help fund, so you can keep it active and add features and whatever.
Good idea.
All right, next thing on the list, Cinderin, is Gorgc. He's got a team. Talk to me about it. Team Bald is back.
There's two angles to this. One is Gorgc has a team. The other one is Sox is playing pro again.
True.
You know, both stories are interesting for different reasons. Yeah, this one caught me completely off guard. So obviously, if you guys aren't aware, the open qualifiers for TI are ongoing. I think, have all regions started now? They have not. So Western Europe has started. And actually, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all they have. Whatever. The open qualifiers are in the ongoings right now. And open qualifier number 1 in Europe is what we're going to focus on here, specifically because of the story of the Team Bald, which now has possibly the most stacked roster it has ever had.
Oh,
so
easily.
It's Gorgc, Mikey, Saberlight, Soxa, and Nagato, who is the unknown player. I actually don't know who this is. He's from Jordan. I think he had a different nickname before, and maybe I would recognize that one. But either way, so far they're crushing it, which is no surprise. I mean, it's open qualifiers, right? But I'm curious to see them when they start playing against actual teams, right?
Like friends without benefits?
Sorry?
Real teams like Friends Without Benefits?
Oh yeah, I love that name. Their next opponent in the qualifiers is Friends Without Benefits. I like that. Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. And also, for me, the biggest story in this is Soxa dipping his toes again, because we had him as a guest on the podcast months back, where we talked about his mental health issues that he got in connection with some of the LAN events he went to, and how he was combating that. And he kind of sounded a lot like, how to say, I didn't get from that episode that he was definitely going to play again. I don't know about you, but the vibe was he might just move on to other things. And I wonder if this is him testing, is this something I miss enough that I want to do it again? Or is he just doing this for fun?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
But either way, the guy's a god. So
he's one of the best position forwards of all time, no question. Yeah. The vibe I was getting, it was kind of, I guess I just had it was up in the air kind of thing. I could see it either way for sure. Because especially winning TI, like, don't really have anything to prove, you know? Mental health definitely takes priority over stuff like that. But yeah, this is should be a cool team to watch. See how far they get.
Yeah. I mean, this is essentially kind of a story similar to I don't know if that's true.
How's Mikey not found a team, by the way?
Yeah.
Is it I don't know. Does he live in Iran still? Is that the issue, maybe?
I do not know. I don't know if that's...
we need a Persian pro. Well, Kuroki's half, I guess. That's close enough.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah. But yeah, keep an eye out for this team. If they make it through opens, this is the kind of team that could actually cause some damage in the close qualifiers. Can they win the whole thing? Probably not, but it's fun if they can hold a candle to the other teams and make it interesting. Because mostly when Gorgc throws together his stacks for qualifiers, I would say the rosters are not this powerful in terms of just star power, and they often can get there and then not really compete with the stronger teams. This one, I don't know, man. On a good day, close qualifiers.
I actually completely forgot about Insania being Persian. That's true. Literally talked to him about it so many times. I guess he would be the top Iranian player right now. But I've always been rooting for Mikey because he's like this young blood. Always exciting to watch, but can't stick to a team. Okay, let's switch to the final topic, Cinder, which is OpenAI.
Ah, yes, your favorite. We're back.
This has been on the docket for quite a while. So OpenAI have come out with, or at least they're rolling out, this is a bit old now, but GPT for Omni. And apparently it will be free, and it's way better and all that stuff. They did some cool demos where they have the AI talk, like, verbally to another AI, and they just talk to each other. It's just a conversation. Kind of fascinating, I won't lie. But something hilarious happened, which revolves around Scarlett Johansson. So, as we've talked about so many times before, when we talk about AI, obviously there's this, there's a divide and whatnot, and I understand that. But there's like the cool factor as well. If you just ignore like the potential shittiness that AI can bring, there is some really cool stuff. And a lot of it stems from watching the movie Her a long time ago with Joaquin Phoenix, and the AI voice is Scarlett Johansson. And OpenAI contacted her and tried to get her to put her voice as one of the options for ChatGPT. She said no, politely. Then they came back to her, asking again months later, probably offering a shit ton of money.
She said no, less politely.
Well, she didn't say no because she didn't respond within a day, and within that time frame, ChatGPT came out with their voice version of her, essentially. Which, if you listen to it, and because I've talked to you about using the ChatGPT app and the voice and talking, that's the voice that I chose. It was called Sky. Right? And you can tell it's not Scarlett Johansson, but you can tell it's very heavily inspired by Scarlett Johansson and the character. And the fact that, what's the guy? I never remember his name. What's the fucking guy the head guy of this thing?
Sam Altman?
Yeah, Sam Altman tweeted around the same time, literally just wrote Her. So obviously it's inspired by heavily her, right? No pun intended. So Scarlett Johansson, weeks later, after it's been out, is now suing ChatGPT because they basically used her likeness in a way. This is going to be a very interesting case. So they took down the voice, which, by the way, I've not been using ChatGPT voice now because the voice just fucking sucks. Because it's not, doesn't sound anything like Scarlett Johansson. But yeah, it's funny that you have people, and this you guys will notice, especially for your younger people that have not had to go through, life's trials and tribulations and all these types of things throughout life. But people can seem really smart, and they can be in certain areas, but they can be fucking stupid as anything. And Sam Altman and ChatGPT, like, how do you not know that this is going to happen? You know? Now, my question is it worth the risk? Not even the risk. Was it worth it? Maybe this was actually intended, because you get this voice out there that sounds similar to her. She sues like a month later, whatever, once she has like the lawyers do everything. It's publicity. You have to take it down eventually. It makes a buzz, but then it's going to cost you a shit ton, but maybe somehow that is actually worth it. Like, there's this old saying, which I don't even think is true anymore. I think because of the internet, it's changed quite a bit. But there's no such thing as bad publicity. You've heard that saying?
Yeah.
I feel like that is out. I don't know if you agree with me. I think that's pretty fucking outdated now, as of the last like 15 years. So the question is, does this pass that threshold of being worse?
I feel like giving them credit for this being a strategy is a really big stretch.
You think so?
I think it's just fucking stupid. That's my take.
I mean, that is a possibility. No doubt.
I think they had a deadline that they needed to release something. They ahead of that deadline, they talked to Scarlett. She said no. Then they were like, okay, what do we do? And maybe they had a plan B, and that plan B said no. And then they were approaching the deadline, and they were like, okay, Scarlett, please, we'll pay you a lot of money. And she didn't get time to respond. They were like, fuck it, we need our voice.
Right.
I think that is more likely than this being some elaborate strategy to... Like, how does this make them look good? I don't understand why the strategy is good. Like, yeah, you get a lot of attention, but effectively this is drawing attention to the really concerning and bad part of AI, which is ownership and whether people, get to opt in. Right? So I don't know. I read something like this and I feel like this is terrible publicity. I don't see any upsides for OpenAI here. But maybe you're right. Maybe more people will hear about it because, who doesn't love Scarlett Johansson, right? So then everybody will be like, we love Scarlett Johansson. What the fuck are you doing, OpenAI? But at least they know who OpenAI are. I don't feel like they need publicity. Like, isn't AI just being talked about everywhere anyway?
Well, that's the other thing is, will anything actually happen in court? Because it's not her voice.
It's a good question.
Right? It's somebody... I mean, they're going to deny it, of course, but we all know that they're trying to emulate that voice. The fact that he tweets her, like, obviously.
It's honestly just mind-bogglingly
the tweet actually made it
stupid.
If there was no tweet, that's actually less of a case for Scarlett Johansson.
Exactly. Then you have, like, plausible deniability at the very least. But come on, man. Yeah. Like...
I mean, they feel untouchable, a lot of these tech geniuses, but
I guess.
Yeah, this will probably be a groundbreaking case, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll talk about it again once it's progressed a bit.
What my positive spin on this is, I hope that, because I'm the one of the two of us that's most dystopian about this, clearly. I hope the fact that this gets a lot of attention and becomes an actual thing, like you said, with going to court and how it's ruled and whatnot, I hope no matter what the ruling is, that this puts more pressure on lawmakers and gets more attention to the possible pitfalls of this so that it's regulated. Because my biggest concern with AI is if it is completely unregulated. Not because it's going to become sentient and take over the world. I'm not really worried about that part, which some people apparently are.
That's going to happen regardless, though. It's going to take over the world at some point. There's no stopping.
Yeah, but... Yeah, the whole sentience thing, I'm not sold on how and when exactly that's going to happen. But what I am sold on is what the problems that are facing him, that are immediate and obvious, right? That those, in my opinion, it's such a gray area that is completely undefined right now, which can either lead to a golden age or to complete shit. And I don't know, it's definitely a risk.
And again, not to rehash this, but yeah, people said the same thing about the internet, and I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't. You gave these two scenarios. I don't know if it'd be better or shit. I don't know what the answer. Like, looking back, I love the internet. We all use it a lot. Was it actually good for society? Who fucking knows, man? It is an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah. I'm sure all our 90-year-old viewers will agree with you that the internet was bad, and we want to go back to how things were. But I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, right? Because with the internet, people were also had their concerns about what it was going to do and whatnot. And maybe this is a similar case where our concerns are. I mean, obviously, the internet definitely has done bad, right? I would argue it's definitely been a net positive, but there's also some very negative things about it.
Yeah.
Maybe AI is going to be the same thing, where there's going to be some shit that you need to navigate through, and then the rest of it will be good. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm older, man. But
when you get older, you don't like change as much. But I grew up with so much. I mean, we both did. But I love tech stuff. That's why this excites me.
Oh yeah, I love tech too. Which is why I find the whole technology extremely fascinating. I just am worried, and Olamist in your chat was already saying that there's been AI interfering with the election already in India. I believe he said that there's.
Well, you could argue that. I mean, you can't. It's not an argument. It's just true that Facebook had a huge impact on the election in the U.S. like 8 years ago, whatever the fuck it was. So
that's true.
There's pitfalls to everything. But anyway, I want to finish this by saying, because this reminded me, the whole internet talk, I'm going to end with a SUNSfan recommends, Cinderin.
Okay.
I highly, well, I've already recommended that. I highly recommend that you guys watch a music video. It's part of Bo Burnham's Inside, what's it called? I think it's just Inside. Can't remember. Netflix special. There's a song called Welcome to the Internet. S tier. Fucking amazing.
Oh,
just
I think
watch
I've
it
seen this.
and read the lyrics or just listen to it, whatever. Unbelievable. Fucking amazing song. Highly recommend. Okay, I think that does it for this episode, Cinderman, unless you have anything to add.
I'm just quickly checking if this is the song I think it is. Oh,
Welcome to the internet.
I was thinking about, I think this is a song he wrote as well, right? About an elderly couple that start making videos at home, and then they go online and they get absolutely shit on in the comments. Is that him?
I don't know. That doesn't sound.
Does that sound familiar to you?
It does not sound familiar to me. No.
What's that called? I'm sure somebody in chat will know what I'm talking about, so I'm waiting for that to catch up really quickly. I think, wasn't that Bo Burnham? Maybe not. Oh no, never mind. It was the late Trevor from Whitest Kids You Know.
Okay, that means nothing to me, whatever that is.
All right. Well, never mind. I guess it's...
So, Cinderin recommends totally whatever that is. All right.
Oh, it's just wondering if it's the same one. Never mind. Yep.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
That does it, Shannon.
Next week, hopefully, we can finally talk about stats, or we the C patch will come out, and then they'll be irrelevant.
Probably,
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Surely.
Till next time, SUNSfan Cinderin signing out. Goodbye.
Bye.
We say things that don't mean anything.
It's good.